Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! On my way to Monday Night Raw.
The second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. Got Devin Bourne with us
at Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
What's up out there? It is March 18th, 2024. I am Jimmy here with Chris and Jeremy. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Thanks everyone for tuning in tonight. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got obviously, Williams Grove opener from yesterday. We have some Lincoln to talk about, Port Royal, World of Outlaws. A lot of stuff going on this past week, not short of controversy either. To everyone that just came over watching Billy Dietrich's podcast with Danny, it was awesome. We were tuned in. That's why we're a little bit late because we were watching it. Awesome job, and thank you for tuning in and watching us. We're gonna talk racing here tonight, and we want to make sure we hear from you guys. Put your questions, comments, no matter how controversial they may be, in the chat, and we'll talk about them. So, what's going on, everybody? I see Steph, see Brad. Thanks as always, Randy. As always, tuning in. Again, like he said, just watch Billy and Danny. 2 great shows in one night. That's right. You can't get any better than this, fellas. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Fresh off a 2-race weekend for me. Got to see my buddies on Saturday at BAPS and got to see all my other buddies Sunday at Williams Grove. So,
we know we're just second best friends now. Bill, I have little Johnny Walker Black Label.
I do have to.
Zero.
So we're gonna get something new started here. Since Seth, he took 35 seconds. Seth, anything that goes wrong tonight is #blame Seth.
Yes, #Seth did it.
Well, he's already in the chat.
Took him 35 seconds, and he's a made man. So anything goes wrong, if you have anything about anything, it's all just blame
Brad
Seth.
says we need a Patreon.
We met Brad this weekend. Shout out Brad. Saw you in turn 3 at Lincoln Speedway. Met Brad. It was nice to meet you, buddy.
Do you want to shout
Bill
Brad?
You making drinks? You are.
Brad messaged me on Saturday asking if I was at Lincoln. I'm like, no, buddy. I actually at that point had just walked into the BAPS pits, but I did tell him Jeremy was going to be there. So I met Brad at Motorama. So
that's fault.
It's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. Let's start with yesterday's events with Williams Grove. That's probably
Do we have to?
the most controversial. I don't know.
It's your truth.
It was a dusty sumbitch. It was very windy. At like 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Sun was out, and it was about 50 degrees or so. It's a nice day overall, but it just created for crazy daytime racing conditions where you couldn't see a damn thing.
It was an
just,
experience. I think I said that at one point. I had my daughter and her cousin there. At one point, we walked away, came back, and I'm like, that was an experience after watching one heat. I'm like, I've never seen anything like that, at least at Williams Grove. So
There was at one point during the national anthem where I'm like, did they put the pace truck out? You know how like Port Royal, they'll put the pace truck out there with the American flag. I just saw this big dust cloud going down the front stretch. I'm like, is there a car in the track during the national anthem? No, it was just the wind picking up the dust. Just not just, and we saw it. We'll talk about it a little bit. What was PPMS on Saturday? Same deal. They didn't, it was a big dust cloud. They had very similar conditions to what was at Williams Grove on Sunday. Jay-Z, Chris, what do you guys make of the track conditions?
Jay-Z, you first.
Are
You were
you
working
sure?
there. You were working
You
there.
sure?
I was
Sure?
just
'Cause-
there for a good time.
All right. So, like I will always say, and we're all fans. I'm a fan. I take all of this stuff from a fan's perspective. I'm not a race car driver. I'm not an official. I'm a fan. It was a shit show if you're a fan. Like plain and simple, it was awful. Now, I was in the infield. Maybe there are spots around the racetrack. I think if you were in the front stretch, honestly, sitting, it probably wasn't that bad because none of the dust, very little of the dust got to the front stretch. It went straight up in the air and blew straight across the track to the back stretch. I was standing along the front stretch inside wall. It felt like I was standing on the exit of Port Royal, turn 4 during hot laps and getting just destroyed with dust and the particles and the stuff. It didn't go out to the front stretch. It went all back into your face the wrong direction. Like it just didn't make any sense. I couldn't see anything from the infield when there was more than a few cars on the track at once. I didn't know. I couldn't see anything. The multiple initial starts of the feature, they all took off, and the 1W started last. And the 1W literally went down the front stretch as slow as the pace truck every time because he could not see a thing from that far back in the field. And you think you're going to gas it up and someone's sitting in front of you can't see him so why would you, right? Once the cars got spread out, it was dusty, but it was manageable. When they put a few more cars on the track at the same time, you couldn't see a thing for the first few laps. And honestly, the initial starts of the 410s and the sportsman start, the start of the sportsman feature was literally a sandstorm because they all were spread out down the front stretch on places they hadn't been ran in. So it was all just loose dirt there, and it was like a sandstorm, blew in your face. It was awful. It was a disaster. I've heard a lot of things as to the contributing factors as to why, and I'm glad I got to see a race. Absolutely happy.
Yeah.
I understand there was a lot of contributing factors that went into it, not just weather, because the only excuse I can't take is the weather. If there were other things, there were other contributing factors, equipment issues, there were some people issues. The weather's not an excuse for me because the weather is a forecast and we can actually look ahead and know what's coming. It was going to be dry, cool, and windy all week on Sunday. Maybe a passing shower, but we knew it was going to be cooler. We knew it was going to be windy. We knew it was going to be sunny and cloudy mix. This wasn't a surprise. The day before weather wasn't a surprise. We had no curveballs thrown at us weather-wise. None, zero.
No.
If you're there to prep a track, you prep a track based on what you know is coming. Yes, could it be drier than normal? Sure. We've seen that at Williams Grove opening days. Williams Grove opening day, daytime, rarely puts on a good race. It barely puts on a good race when it's perfect conditions. We all bitch about it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I'm just saying, right? It needs lap traffic. We all know that. When we talk about the racing, the quality, the fact is the average winner starts from 2.2 on the grid. We know this, okay? That's just a product of the track, and it is what it is. We've all lived with that, and we all still show up. But we've had better day races than this, better track surfaces than this. So, fact of the matter is, as a fan, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I don't have to bash them saying that. I'm not bashing them. Don't go there. I lost a follower on Facebook on my photos page because I said a bad thing. right? I was actually joking. But if you're a fan, you have to be disappointed. Imagine if you're the first time going to a racetrack and that's what you saw. You're like, is this normal? I can't
Right.
see anything. Is this racing? They
I
didn't.
would have thought we were in Ohio.
I found 2 pictures of 7,000 or something I took with cars side by side. Now, I didn't get to see Lance pass all the damn cars because he was doing it over on the wrong end of the track. But all that being said, there was not that much passing, and there isn't to begin with. Maybe that wasn't much different, but it was disappointing. I don't know how it could be any other word. Could it be fun? Was
Go
it
ahead, Jimmy.
exciting? Was it fast? It was none of those.
I don't think it was for lack of trying, at least from putting a moisture in the track perspective, because every about 10, 15 minutes they were filling up a water truck, and I was there 2 hours, like an hour and a half, 2 hours before gates, and having a couple parking lot tailgate beers. But there was a water truck going to go get filled up every about 10, 15 minutes. They were trying to water to piss out of it. I guess as much as they could, but I don't know about the other factors that they had to do. I'm not a track prep expert either, but
the only thing I'll say, just from my eyeballs, and completely different scenarios. So Saturday at Baps, no, before they started driving fast. Saturday at Baps, I looked at that track and we are probably 40 minutes from hot laps, and I'm like, I don't know how anyone's driving on this because it's like I messaged Brett Perigo and Jimmy like, I don't know, man. This looks like a cornfield. Now it still dried out and it still got a little bumpy, but like they obviously planned ahead, I guess my limited track back knowledge is they planned ahead and they over soaked that sumbitch, and it was cooler on Saturday, and obviously much less cars and much different cars. You had the sportsmans and late models and legends. So, but when I walked into Williams Grove on Sunday, it was already not looking like a cornfield. It was already kind of packed in. It wasn't that normal. You walk in at 5:30 on a Friday where you can see it's wet. It wasn't like that. Now it was at 1:00, 12:45, and I'm like, and it was already a gray strip or like a light brown strip near the wall going into turn 3, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before. That's weird. So I don't know.
Well,
so something happened before. Something happened before Sunday. My point. Something before Sunday happened to lead to what we had on Sunday.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And what they did Sunday was the best they could do with what they had, and that's what I ultimately found out. But like I said, I can give Williams Grove a pass for it. It was shitty. It sucked. I hated it, but I can give them a pass based on all the things that we've come to learn. If none of those things happened and everybody was at full strength and all the equipment, everything was there, then I'm having a different conversation about like, what are we doing here? Okay. They did try to put some moisture down. It didn't really work. It worked in 3 and 4 for a little bit. 1 and 2, it never really had consistently enough cars move up to make a difference. They all ended up around the very bottom. But I'm telling you, if you've ever walked into pits at Williams Grove on the front stretch, it's paved. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's actually paved. But it's like it's old pavement. They have to water it to keep the dust down on pavement. Believe me, they do. But that's what turns 1 and 2 look like. It looked like what the infield paved pit road looked like. That hard, dusty, like it hadn't been touched since November. I'd honest to God look like that. I made a joke, like, did they touch it since November? That's what it looked like out there, because it wasn't just that it was dry. It was bumpy and rutted like a cornfield. And it never changed. It was that way the whole day. So and it is new clay. It confirmed they had new clay put down. So it was just a shit show.
They did put new clay down?
What's that?
They did put new clay down?
Yeah.
It gone now.
They did.
Well, it's there.
It is gone in the wind.
So I want to go back to, so Jeremy mentioned no one would go off the bottom and things like that. Every car that I saw that thought about it, either straight to hit a banana peel up the racetrack or spun out, wing 410, or even with sportsman. I think that's how Eric Rutz ended up spinning out in the sports feature. I know Brett tried it on that restart after Wilbur got past him in the feature, and he just thought he was on an oil slick. Danny talked about it. Same thing. He went up there and just lost the whole car. So I don't know. If you ever have that, it's day racing and the wind. I get you don't want to make the weather excuse, but it didn't help the situation.
No, it didn't help. But it's not the first dry, windy day we've had on a Williams Grove Day show. That's what I'm trying to get. People tend to forget, like every year, it's not that warm and it's pretty windy typically every year for the Williams Grove opener on a Sunday afternoon. That's what I remember. Yeah, are there exceptions? Sure. Not many. It's cool and it's windy.
It was like the perfect angle. It came right over turn 4, right I guess just for perfect angle for disaster. And Tyler makes a good point. Like Fantasy started second, and I think Brett started third and got cut down past all of them off of turn 2 just because he got down first. And that was that one.
Can I talk about? I've been dying to play it now that we're talking about that. Before we get, we'll get into the sportsman a little bit, but this was perfect.
Because Dave Hare is the greatest guy.
He's
ever.
The greatest.
Love Dave.
In the Turn 2 Terrible podcast entry, car number 2A, it's Brett Perigo.
That velvety smooth voice here in the Turn 2 Terrible podcast.
So cool.
Chef's kiss.
Let's talk about Dave Hare being my favorite announcer in Central PA, and Brett Perigo. Warm place in my fuzzy heart for him. So
I knew what you were going to say. What?
I was just
warm place where?
So, all right. Obviously, track conditions. How did we think about obviously the racing? There's some. Of course, it was not short of other controversy outside of the track conditions. But I think track conditions obviously played a huge factor.
I want to start the heats. We had to go back to
the heats, man.
We have to go back to Lance Louise specifically. Everything else was ho-hum. Lance Louise doing Lance Louise things in the heats. That was worth $20.
Dude, yeah, it was. That was worth the price of admission. I was happy the rest of the day.
It was how cool it was watching a guy still have it, still do it, still just show the kids what's up.
I mean,
I loved it.
When we would hang out, for years now, it would just be let's go Lance, man.
Yeah.
And find myself doing the same thing still here. You know what I mean?
It was honestly back then. It was because of the 69K and the crates. It was the combination that we all loved. Now it's like I don't know. It was so cool as hell to watch him just do that same thing and go vroom. And it was like
that was a huge bright spot on the day. I think that the crowd was audibly into it. It was awesome to see. He went from last and won by 5 seconds in a groove that nobody else could run. He made it work. It was awesome.
And I want to mention something here. The crowd was very impressive.
Yes.
So all things aside, I walked down at one point to take my child to my mother because she had enough of the dust and the cold. And I thought it was an Outlaw show. I went to the front gate and I'm like, holy shit, when did this happen? And I'm like, this parking lot is packed. So that's cool for an opening day show to have a crowd like that. I mean, we have more than one race now. Like Lincoln Icebreaker was big crowd. This was I would say equal to crowd. So that's cool. So I want to mention that.
Yeah, it was a good crowd.
What I liked was just listening to Danny and Billy. Danny talking about that heat race because he was in the same heat race with Lance and said that I could get my car to do that. I just didn't find it soon enough. Lance using his experience and said he went down, found it, and was gone. By the time anybody realized what was happening, they moved down, but they still weren't as fast. But he found it before anyone else did. That bottom where everybody thought they could move up a little bit there. Lance found it and was gone, and he just made it. He just took everybody to school. So,
Jay-Z feet picks to the highest bidder. Put it in the chat.
KR, can you just just give them to me, please?
Listen, I don't have bad feet. That's okay. For any weirdos, it might be all right.
Let's hit some other comments on because we got a lot of chatters in the chat tonight. We got a lot of yappers tonight, which is good. I love it. Speaking of yappers, Seth Dietrich. I like Lance and he's cool, but Chris Frank almost passed him. The Bugman bonkers. He was somebody that we talked about earlier today before coming on. Really impressive, for sure.
Should we just take this moment because I wanted it, but you can have it. So just take it now.
What?
Well, we'll do that later. Well,
I want to talk about Chris Frank for a minute because I feel like if he could just tune into the weather and know it's going to be dry slick somewhere, he puts the 410 in and just goes. Just go somewhere wherever it's going to be dry slick because now he's what? Clinton County?
Yep.
Now it's Williams Grove, right?
So
and I went into the pits there, and his car was right out like by the start finish line, kind of there in the front stretch. And I just put my arm around him. I said, "Look, big 410 guy here, hey." He was all smile. Right? I couldn't be happier for him. I know at one point he was passing. He was passing Lance, or he passed Freddie, and then Freddie got him back. But like, you got to feel good if you're Chris Frank and going out and competing and passing and running side by side with these guys.
100%. I'm a huge Chris Frank fan. He's always been so cool, so nice to me. Anytime I've seen him, the coolest guy.
Yeah.
Even if I meet him,
Awesome
even
guy.
random restaurant, sometimes he'll be cool. So I think basically what you're saying is just move to Ohio. He'd probably win every race in Ohio.
Guy Flick, he may be the
He could be a
Ohio
the
He
Ohio
Speedway
might
champ.
Speedway
he might
champion
be
if he
he
goes
might be
out.
the AJ Flick killer if he goes out that way. Just saying, Bugman.
AJ's got competition.
Steph, which we got to see Steph again. She came over. Those Freddy goggles came into play for her.
Right?
I'm glad that they worked. There was a fight on Beer Hill between two guys. Then 10 minutes later, they hugged it out. Still no clue what was going on.
I
That's
heard
it.
about
Word.
this.
Beer Hill.
Someone
What
else
shirts were they
mentioned it.
wearing? Can we figure out what shirts they were wearing?
Was
the
one a
key.
Freddie and one a Danny?
That'd be too.
because-
That would be too amazing.
That would be two on the nose.
I would love it. No, they're
knows?
probably both in Beer Hill gang shirts. It's kind of like we would all fight in the infield and be like, "Oh, it's cool, bro. Let's go back and have a beer."
Let's see what else here.
The best part about Steph is she walked up and I saw her. I'm like, "Ha, ha, I got something for you." And I thought you were gonna forget about it. It's like I almost thought about forgetting about it.
Grayson Buckwalter said, definitely agreed with Jay-Z when he was talking before about the visibility pulled off because it wasn't worth wrecking and not being able to see, especially if we're not running for points. So yeah, absolutely, it wasn't worth, and that was the next point I wanted to get to.
Right.
All right, for us as fans, we still had a good time. It wasn't the best race. It was dusty, blah, blah, blah. Drivers, man. I mean, we saw it at PPMS. We heard about it because they had about the same amount of cars, same conditions, but at a track that's
Definitely not ideal. It's not.
that's not Williams Grove.
It's,
I mean,
well,
not.
It's not a big half mile. You don't usually get that
Well,
situation at a
it's
big half
big.
mile. No,
It's
I'm
big.
saying
It's
it
just I'm
is.
saying it probably
No, I'm
doesn't
saying
have
it
the
is.
experience like Williams Grove. It doesn't have the
I'm
name
saying
like Williams Grove.
Williams Grove is a big half mile. You don't usually have those Dust Bowl situations at a place like that. At least here, like that's. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Brett
So-
says Dusky Susky.
So anyway, they end up having their feature 7.5 hours later when it's finally dark out, and a lot of drivers just got start points start money. Even if, like Dylan Cisney was one. I'm sure a couple others because they didn't feel like the track conditions were safe, and it sounded like it ended up, from the looks of it, still put on a decent show. So I will say I'm glad that we didn't have to wait there 7.5 hours to get have them rework the track and whatever they did to do that. So yeah, see, PPMS is a 5/8 mile. It's bigger. So
Correct.
I was saying in general, the dust as I was referring to. Continue on.
that was my okay.
I don't know. I ignore you.
Yeah. So
Clearly.
it was funny because me and Jay-Z were talking outside and you're like, man, that was unacceptable. That's not acceptable for PPMS. I'm like, well, you never, take into account. And then what do? We see the same exact race the next day.
I never expected that to happen. I figured
No,
we
me
come in
neither.
here
Not without me.
we
I'm like,
can-
man, they're really That's like the fourth time that they filled up that water truck, man. Like they're watering the piss out of it, which I understood. Austin Bishop says, what's going on, Austin? The Grove is definitely more visible than PPMS. I could definitely.
That's saying something.
That's saying something.
Jimmy, do you have that? I'm gonna send you a picture, Jimmy, to use for this later on. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, and Tim Schafer went out there, so yeah, let's go back to Grove. Heat races. Lance came up through. Get to the feature. Took a couple times to get a lap in, and was it on the first or the second start? Was it the first start that got called for the jump?
The very initial start.
And this has been a topic of conversation. If you've been on social media at all today, it was all day yesterday. After it happened yesterday, people were not happy, especially one Danny Dietrich. I wish I could give an opinion on it because I couldn't see a damn thing. So I have no clue what happened.
Yep.
But what happens is when they deem somebody jumps to start, whether it be first or second place, they move that whole row back. And that could have ultimately ended up giving Anthony Macri the de facto pole, and he goes on to win the race. Whatever personnel aside, how do we feel about the rule that they have? Do you think it needs to be changed?
It's, I listened to Dirt Tracker today. Listened to Jeremy Elliott, SprintCarload.com, and I agree. I mean, I, to be honest, never given any thought to this, but they explained it well. So you're telling me, so what's Danny supposed to do? Like his job in the car is to fire as the outside car when the other motor fires, right?
hmm
So if Cam fires, that's just like stupid early. Like, I mean, I guess if he's firing in the middle of turn 3 or like about a Wieners Grove sign with a bridge, then don't do that, sure. But like, you see a chalk line coming up, Cam fires. Yeah, your job's to fire. You have to. That's just the way it is. Um, I don't see why punish them both. If you deem that Cam started early, I don't know why you punish them both. Other
Well, I know
than shortcutting, that you don't want to make a decision. I guess is my hot take.
I know why they do. I know why this rule exists, and Danny explained it really well there on with Billy. And if the pole sitter, and I've seen this over the years, if the guy on the pole starts to go, doesn't, second place goes and gets called for a jump, they get penalized. They got baited. I know why they do this. Here's the biggest problem with this. I don't care if the 75 went early or not. If you look at that down the front stretch, the 75's leading, the 48's in second. There was no advantage or disadvantage. The only
Right.
advantage is that he got out of turn 4 first.
Right.
But he should. He's the leader. I understand what that is. But even if he went a little bit early, Danny's still running second down the front stretch because I have photo evidence of him coming down the front stretch in second. I couldn't see anything after that or the subsequent 3 restarts after that. But what I'm saying here is, a cloud of dust is coming with all these cars. These restarts are going to be unsafe. Why did you even make this call to put them all back and do this whole dust thing again? That's where I'm at.
It created
It was
chaos.
already
Especially as how not egregious it was. Right.
correct. I don't care if it was at this point. There's going to be a yellow, and Danny's going to have a shot at her, run Cam down. But it wasn't that bad. I think common sense has to win there and not be so quick triggered, understanding the circumstances of what we had. I'm fine if they want to leave the rule. I don't love the rule, but I also have seen many of those times over the years where the pole sitter can bait the second place guy. They go,
Right.
then they stop second place, then the leader takes off, and the whole row's jacked up, and someone crashes in the back on an accordion effect. Or second place gets baited and gets penalized, and they're like, well, that car went. I get why they do this. I don't agree with the call. I don't agree with the quick trigger on opening day with the track conditions the way it was. Another restart is just going to create another dust cloud and risk for accidents.
Yeah, there's no advantage given.
That's
There's no
it.
advantage to anybody.
So-
They came out first and second like they lined up. So I agree. I don't
So,
understand why.
Let me ask this question, Jeremy. What would you propose as an alternative?
Don't call it a jump, just race.
I understand, but like, as far as the rule goes, as far as like penalizing the whole front row or whatever it is, like, what is
apparently,
it?
I would love to have
according to
them
Seth, hashtag blame Seth. Pretty sure the Grove rule
No,
book
someone
states
posted this
only
on
one car
Facebook.
will be penalized in a row.
That's on Facebook. That is not true.
Okay.
You'll have to get the rule book
Don't
and
believe
show me difference. Someone copied a segment out of the rule book and put it on Facebook today. I saw it. So
That was
here's
I
my
saw it for
thing.
a spin rule. I did not see that for the jump rule. That's interesting.
I saw it for a jump rule. Here's where I'm at with this. This rule is unique. It is aggressive. The penalty is, excuse me. The penalty is very aggressive. I would love, if you're going to be this aggressive with the penalty, you at least give them one warning shot.
Right.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that argument.
If you want to move one car first to third and flip on one car, if you're going to penalize a whole row, they should get one attempt to screw it up.
I agree.
The penalty is too severe for this to be a call. If Cam was the error, why would Danny get a penalty with Cam? I get it. If they're playing games, they get a warning. Play games, you're both moving.
I feel like
That's
with World of
fair to me.
Outlaws and like high limit and stuff, like you see a lot like, hey, you get another shot at doing this. All right, didn't like that start. Let's try it again.
Right.
You screw up again. Now we penalize.
That might be the
trigger
compromise.
like that.
That's for me. I think the penalty's too stiff without a warning.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I
Yeah.
especially in a situation that we had yesterday. Like, we're not saying it should be different, but overall, like, from Nick Danny's point, if he doesn't do he does nothing. Maybe he doesn't even fire yesterday, and he's still getting penalized for jumping to start, and he maybe does the 1W thing down the front stretch, which is going to cause a melee. But say he did, he's still getting penalized a row because he jumped the start, even though he didn't even hit the gas pedal. So I think there's a compromise there, and I think you need to, like you said, apply common sense, whatever that means. So we're looking beyond just yesterday. Looking just beyond yesterday. Common sense yesterday was let him race. That dust clears out so we could still race. Moving ahead, we probably have heavier tracks for the rest of the year. I don't know. I think if it's too close to call, you don't call it. I don't know.
I still think you give a mulligan.
I don't even know if
a mulligan. The mulligan's probably the easy fix here.
Yes.
That's my opinion. If you want to leave the rule in there, or the penalty, excuse me, if you want to leave the penalty in there, I think they deserve a warning. If you're going to move a whole front row, because it is in this particular case, I agree 1,000% with Danny. It's absolutely unjust the penalty he received for nothing. I agree 100% in this one.
And there's Austin Berry making the point to probably why this rule is here. So at some point,
I get it.
Somebody has to make a decision.
But racers will always take advantage of that. But if you're going to have this penalty without a warning, this difficult penalty without a warning, I don't think is also fair to the racers. I just don't.
Right. I think Jeremy Elliott hit on the head earlier. I think that call needs to be by the flagger at the chalk line.
Yeah, but they can't even see the chalk line at Williams Grove.
Not yesterday, but in general.
And listen, I will say I got a call today.
The initial call is that should be where it comes from, and then the tower can do whatever.
There
the responsible cars will be moved to the second row. Thank you, Aunt Bay, for the screenshot. That's the rule book right there.
Now, Dietrich? What now, boy?
he said, "Hey, he said, my bad, my bad."
No, he did. I know.
He said, "My bad, big dog."
That's right.
He's almost sliding in little promos and trying to get the hashtag blame Seth thing shut down, which isn't going to work.
Randy makes a good point here. Hopefully the tracks learned something this week and can improve on it. That's all you can. Right, I think that at this point is everybody learning something together and being like, all right, how do we avoid this? What makes more sense?
100%. And listen, this is what I think people that listen, there's defenders of tracks, there's defenders of cars, there's people that blah, blah, blah. I know social media, right? Everyone has an opinion. My opinion is Williams Grove deserves some of this, what happened. There's a lot of things, but ultimately they are responsible for putting on the show, period. End of sentence. But if we can give BAPS a pass last year for their bad one, I can give Williams Grove a pass for this. I absolutely can. But I'm telling you as a fan, it was not enjoyable. I was happy to be at a racetrack, but it wasn't what I wanted to go see.
It's exactly well spoken.
And something I think what was so important about this, and it's a long season, but Danny said it when he was talking with Billy earlier tonight. You know, Central PA points, it comes down to that last race all the time to win that Central PA points title. It has for the past couple of years, and Danny's always in that dogfight. And every point counts. I think he say he won it by like 7 points or 17 points or something like that.
8 points. 8 points.
Very, very close.
But yes.
So that's something where it's like, hey, I still finished second.
But I feel like he's right. He's right. I mean, you're right.
I know he's not.
He is right. He is right because he's referring to Freddie Raymer getting a spot back for yard sailing over Chad Trout's wheel, spinning around, causing a dust cloud bigger than anything we've ever seen, and then driving off and getting a spot back. That's what he's referring to.
Okay. But I still think he's wrong. If he's that worried about this fucking points championship, don't leave for 8-9 races a year and stay home and race. That's his choice to do that and make it 8 points and then bitch about a spin out or a false start and a not winning a race. It's a little short-sighted to me to say, woe is me if you choose and not listen. Oh, porch sitters, this and that. But if you choose to go race, this is the consequences that could happen. To talk about the Freddie thing today,
I think the Central PA points are different. Are they not?
It's not. If he chooses to leave and Central PA is racing, he doesn't get points. Everyone else is racing. But that's what I'm saying. He comes back and gets in a dogfight over 8 points and left for 8 races. Yeah, that's a great job by getting close, but you can't bitch about a spin out on day one when you go miss 8 races on purpose.
I don't know what 8 races he missed last year specifically.
He said that. He might travel, miss X amount of races, right? He missed four Williams Grove races last year.
4 Williams Grove. That's Williams Grove points races.
Listen, credit to their team for being that good to miss those races, but you can't come in and say, These points matter because I only would win or lose by 8 points, but I'm going to also voluntarily miss races on purpose and leave town. You could come back and win it by 200. If that matters that much, make it a priority and come race all of them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's more of one of
But I
those
know that then we
deals.
all get shit for being porch sitters and not leaving the porch. So like
But
you
I
can't
think
win
it's
either
more of-
way here. But you also can't stand on the hill, die on that hill, and say, "Oh, this every point matters." Well, it does, but when you miss that many on purpose, it might matter more. Just say it. Just
No, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I get it.
I don't know. But it also,
Austin
we're in
Berry.
March. We're in March, right? So maybe Buddy doesn't know if he doesn't know. Like, if we get to like July and they're not even in contention, and yeah, maybe you travel more, or vice versa. I don't know.
The point at the end of the day is that these all count for points. So you want to make sure everything is kosher. You want to make sure everything is officiated correctly to the best of your ability. You know what I
and the
mean?
consistency. I understand his overarching point is consistency and not feeling like there's favoritism toward one person and not the other. Or obviously just a dividing, this is literally politics at this point. This side, I like this side, so I hate that side. There is no middle ground here, and that's all that people would love to see if you've been on the losing side of those. Right? That's all they
Right.
want to see. But I've been hearing this since I was a kid that there's been favoritism in central Pennsylvania over officiating and rules, and
Right.
this is not new. This isn't new. This is before Danny got in a car.
Right. So
It's been this way forever.
that's I think the bigger point here. There seems to be some calls that get let go, and some calls that don't, and that's not attacking whoever you want it to be attacking, or vice versa. I've seen some things go different ways, beyond just yesterday. So I guess that's the overarching point here. I'm not familiar enough to speak on it, but not intelligent anyway. I could do what the fans do and just start saying things, but I'm not going to do that.
I wanted to point this out, Austin Berry again. I've always liked the start box versus a start, just a line. And, I you do have like a restart zone at most places, but it's, maybe I'm thinking more NASCAR than anything, but why not for sprint cars? Because I don't know anywhere that does that, but why not?
Well, then you have two lines you're worried about, right? Now
I guess
you're adding a
so.
line, you're adding a
You're always
front,
going
you're
to
adding
get
back.
off as
Did you
early
go
as possible.
before? Did you go too late? And it's funny. I've never heard this before. Listen again. I learned a lot by listening to drivers. This is where I watch a lot. I'm a fan, but I listen to these drivers and I learn from them. What Danny talks about, like over the radio, they tell the front row to work as a team. Who the hell thought that was a good idea to say to a
That's
driver?
never
Work
going to
as a
happen.
team to go to the line and go at the same time at the line. Are you kidding me? Drivers are not going to work as a team with the car they're about to try to go race against for the
Right.
win.
And,
Are you
and
kidding?
Tyler Koenig follows
idea.
suit here. The two chocolate lights. I mean, maybe that's the answer. Like,
I think so.
it might be more pain in the ass, but it's pretty simple. Put a
It's
chalk line
more
down
black and
here,
white.
chalk line down here. If
Jesus,
your
you're
car
gonna need those
lifts
chalk
up
lines?
here, you go vroom.
You're going to need two chalk guys.
Jeez,
I
we're gonna
don't
need two
care
chalk
if we
lines?
have. If we can get rid of this weird argument, I'm all for it.
I don't know if it will though. Did
It
they go too
won't.
soon? Did they go
I
too
think
late?
As long as they're
the start line is a little too arbitrary. You know what I mean? It's kind of
right,
like
because like the
start
inside guy has
somewhere around
this,
this
and the
line.
outside guy
If
there.
you got two defined lines or two cones or whatever,
Like your car,
you
your
start
nose
early, you
has to
start
be
late.
in this box. Like
It's not
that
good if you
simple.
both talk at the same time. I'm just saying I can't hear either of you.
Your nose in the box, vroom. That simple.
Nose. How much of the
Nose.
nose?
The front wheels.
How
I don't
big-
care.
The front of the
Any
front wheels
part
or
of
the
it.
back?
NFL rules. The tip of the rubber across the plane of the ground. Vroom.
It's got to be that specific, or it's going to be favoritism, or it could be rules, it could be gray areas.
I think they should have a virtual flagman down at the.
Oh, I like that.
Oh.
Virtual Tony Sharp.
Fuck. Oh, Tony Sharp. Virtual Tony Sharp,
Virtual
baby.
Tony Sharp.
Tony Sharp's our new flagman. We're
I-
gonna keep speaking this into existence. We don't care if he wants or not. He is the flagger for all starts in Central PA race car racing.
He's the
All of it.
law when it comes
He's
to.
doing it. He's doing it every track, every day. I do like that, Seth. Put Danny and Freddie in the front row.
That would be. Have
That
them
would
work
be.
as a.
Do you know how
Teamwork,
slow?
baby.
You know how slow they would go. They're just waiting
Teamwork.
for
Nobody-
one of
They
them
would
guys.
still be crawling at a pace speed until they got to the start finish line.
They would just be waiting for a naysayer to it's like, hey, no, you went first. No, you went first. We're best friends now.
So I
Basically.
need where's Tyler? Tyler's in here. Okay, Tyler, I need to know Lincoln, Port, Baps, and Williams Grove. What is the 360 rule? Do we have one in Central PA?
Yeah, let's
Is
get
it
into that.
track by track or is it a Central PA thing? I don't know this answer. I truly
I'm
don't.
pretty sure it's track by
So
track.
World of Outlaws and the All Stars had different rules on this.
right,
Yep.
right. So
Right?
the way I
So
read
don't
it
even know
from
what ours is.
somebody did the screenshot thing that you did, highlighted the 360 rule does not apply local racing anymore.
Okay, so what's that mean though?
That means Freddie brought the caution, and then they penalized Lucas. And
So,
but did everybody else? Did all the track officials know it was Freddie?
I had no clue.
What I
the
saw
one
I
that
did not know until I saw a replay
my
this morning.
my source
That
did
he was
anybody
fine.
see Freddie spin? Because the only people that could
My-
were people spinning in Beer Hill.
my source called Freddie spinning in turn 3.
Who's your source?
But then
I'm
he
not
was
saying my
Give up
source.
your sources.
But let me ask you. So if he spun in turn 3, kept
I
going.
saw Tenny. I saw
I
Freddie
get it.
spin.
But if
You see
he
Teddy?
spins
Teddy.
and somebody calls the 8 spin, but the dust clears and he's rolling in line.
Yep. I understand that.
What I don't understand, like I would love to hear something. It could have was it a mistake? Did somebody just screw this up? I don't think it was because then there were cars stopped.
If the tower can't call that right, they shouldn't be calling initial starts for
I don't think the
jump
tower
starts.
saw it.
That's
like
the
I
point.
Said, only Tony saw it.
I didn't even say names.
It was too dusty. No one knew it until we saw the video of it from outside turn 3.
They put Lucas and Billy to the back because they stopped not pile in, not to hurt somebody. Race. What I know is the race control radio said 8 cars spinning caution. I don't know what happened after that.
Yeah. So I think what's making this, if my question. Obviously, it's Danny getting called on a false start, and then you got Freddie.
So you're doing is adding fuel to the fire.
No, can you let me finish, man?
I'm just gonna say.
Then Freddie spins and nobody sees it. If this was Lucas Wolf getting called on a jump start and Lance DeWeese spinning, are we having the same arguments here?
Well, I think Danny's point was if these rules are reversed,
because that rivalry.
No, I think
is
Danny's point
fire
to some level. I'm not saying this is reality. I'm saying I think some of the perception, maybe not necessarily Danny, but the fans, if it was reversed, if Freddie's starting second, does that start get called back? We don't know because we'll never know because it didn't happen. And on the flip side, if the 48 runs over Chad Trout and spins out in turn 3 and makes a dust cloud and drives off, does he get a spot back? We don't know. What we do know is these two rules have seemingly been, they're both fucked. Like, they're just fucked. Like, the front row rule is fucked, even if it was called by what it is. A car spinning out, bringing out a caution, which clearly was the reason why half the field stopped because they couldn't see a damn thing and thought a car was sitting backwards. Because looking at it from where we were, Jimmy, we had no reason to think Freddie drove out of that. He was, well, for me, I watched it. So he was one wheel on the ground. Spinning, facing me up the track, dust cloud. I had no idea he drove out until he came back around with no damage. I'm like, get the hell out of here.
The only car I actually saw, and now here's my point of view, which is after the bridge in the infield, looking at turn 3. The only car I actually saw at all in that dust cloud that looked like it was spinning was Dylan Cisney. That's the only thing I saw.
The thing is, I watched it when Freddie went over the left rear of Trout, and I'm like, oh shit. And he went whatever, and I'm like, I was worried. I was scared for him because at that point I saw him go into the cloud sideways and the whole field bearing down on him.
And he kept going. So did he blend in? Did he get a spot where he blended back in, or did he get
he got his spot
before he spun?
He got a spot back, the initial starting spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, could they have fucked up? Yeah, absolutely could have.
Right.
If there's no 360 roll, why'd the yellow come out?
Right.
I just told you from unknown source why the yellow came out. So again, we're not here to place blame, but
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know who does or doesn't make that call.
I know who got punished. It was the guys that stopped because they didn't want to send a race car full into a dust cloud of a car spinning.
Why would you tear your car up to run into starting in the back of the road?
They're the ones that got paralyzed, not the guy that spun around and made the dust cloud.
Chris, I would have stopped too. I'm not wrecking my car to run 13th or 18th. I'm stopping too. I don't give a shit. I don't care what it saves me. What's pay from 18th to 13th? I'm stopping too. I don't give a shit if I get put back. Yeah, they may hate it, but I don't care. I'm not gonna freaking get piled into something I can't see.
Sure. No, I agree. I would have probably done exactly what Cisney and these other guys did and just pulled off the racetrack.
So is this really the case? Freddie's spin was called an inadvertent yellow under that rule. You get your spot back.
That I do not know for sure.
There was definitely spins because I'm pretty sure Dylan Cisney also.
That's the only explanation that would make sense to me, other than someone just screwed up.
But why?
Like, I would love to know. I'd love to hear it.
He fully spun. It should have definitely probably been a yellow given the situation.
It was a yellow.
Technically, the cars that stopped didn't have a reason to stop because there wasn't a car stop.
And here,
so why'd they stop? Huh?
Why were we even racing? You couldn't see anything anyway.
Freddie never stopped. He spun out, kept going. So there were cars that stopped without other cars stopped. So they should go to the back.
Well, somebody told them this car is spinning in turn 3, so that's probably why they stopped. You
have
a race saver for a reason.
No, they tell you stop under a red flag, not a yellow flag.
If they said there's a car spinning in turn 3 and you can't see shit, I think
that's what I just said too. You stop. Yeah, that's fine. So
I would stop.
I'm not going to call it unfair. I'm going to say I didn't wreck my damn car. Blame Williams-Grove for the dust then. Don't blame the call. Blame him for the dust.
So I think the call problem is that he gets a spot back like it never even happened. That's the problem.
Yellow.
I like
somebody said invert yellow. If Tony said what he saw, but the tower can go, I don't see Freddie stopped. They didn't see anything. They're the one making the ultimate.
If the tower can't see Freddie stopped, how's the tower calling a false start on the initial start? Well, there lies the whole problem with the night yesterday.
There's no dust yet. They didn't start.
Because it didn't happen, for one. And two, I'm out.
I'm just saying.
I'm just making my 2 points. Those are my 2 points.
I love it.
That's my 2 points. If they can't see a car launching over from the side where the dust is blowing away from, over a left rear, spinning through damn near the pit entrance, up and making a cloud of smoke and driving off, but they can somehow see that Cam Smith launched 3 inches early, get fucked. I'm out. Dude, no way. Absolutely no way. I don't care who's making that call. I don't care if Mike Hess is making that call. Like, no way. That lies the problem with yesterday from, I guess, Danny's side and just overall. Like, there's no way.
There's no way. I need to tone it down, sir.
I'll tone it down. I'm just saying. Like, there's no way. If you can't see that car spinning, I saw it, and I was behind you, Jimmy, and I was looking that way, so it worked. But if you're in the tower and you can't see that car spinning, I don't care if it's Troy Fraker spinning out.
I was closer than the tower, and I couldn't see anybody spinning out. So I mean,
but I'm saying is I saw it start. Your job as a tower is to watch the whole damn racetrack. You would probably see a dust cloud in turn 3. You call a caution. I don't know. But you can still see a car started a minute early, whatever.
Are you still on this, or are we done?
Yeah, he's still on it.
We're good. No, we're good. We're good.
All right, let's move on.
I'm not an official, and I didn't even know there was a jump start. I didn't know Freddie spun. I couldn't see anything in the infield, so I can only assume what happened because
I can tell you why we didn't know there was a jump start. You didn't because there wasn't one. But carry on.
I could see. I didn't know there could have been a yellow. They started the feature. I was down in turn 1 or at the start finish line. I couldn't see them when they started. I didn't know why the caution came out. I assumed there was a wreck somewhere, but I couldn't see it or hear it. I can't hear anything on the PA from the infield. I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I get 90% of that, and I get the dust cloud turn 3. Like, I get it, but that's what you have flaggers for in the corners to tell you why is there a caution. Like, I don't know.
Hey, can you send Seth the link to the?
I'm going to.
All right, Seth, we're going to send you a link.
I'm going to send you a link.
Oh, no.
We're going to send you a link to the show.
Seth, you're going in here, buddy.
Somebody, who else said about calling in?
While I'm doing that, can you talk about some other stuff while I'm doing this?
Yeah, hold on. Where's Chris going? Am I going to be by myself? Hey, everybody.
Yeah, where did Chris go now?
Jay-Z here. Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy. Jay-Z here. Going to talk to myself. Actually, I don't know how to put the pictures. Can you put the picture I put in admin? We had a little tweet your seat here for the T2T show tonight. Cody Hartlaw been in the shop repairing his race car yet again because he says he self-admittedly said he's dumb because he tore up some other stuff again this week. But he put up a picture and said he at the shop he has a TV there. He got us on the TV at the shop. So shout out Cody. Hopefully everything gets fixed up. Get you back out there this week. But you're gonna run out of frames soon if you keep hitting the inside wall and shit. So get it figured out there, bud. Lincoln. I could talk about Lincoln a little bit. I was there. I think I was only one of us three that were there. Yeah, Saturday. Honestly, Saturday was a lot less drama. But in fact, the track was the most exciting part of it. Was the racetrack. Oh shit! I just spilled my drink. Well, he said now he said don't send it. Oh, don't be a pussy, Seth. Don't bitch out on us.
Okay, you don't have to go on camera, but you can call in.
On camera. You call in. We'll do
I'm
some
sending
voice.
it to you anyway.
Now I got a mess all over my freaking desk. Son of a bitch.
Crying.
No, Lincoln. We had the 358 debut, season debut for the 358s, 410s, 358s. Got there and the track had a lot of moisture in it. Track was fast all night. It built a cushion in 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 was pretty narrow early. But 358s were ripping around there good. They had a pretty good. There was obviously some rookies, first time out, a lot of new cars, a lot of good looking race cars out there. But the 3 and 4, I'm telling you, at both ends of that track were pretty bumpy. It was rough. It created weird lips in the racetrack and like little ledges. Very, very charactered up racetrack. So Danny drew the pole, pretty much won this thing handily. Kyle Moody kind of gave him a run into turn 1 at the beginning. The first lap or two there, but Danny kind of self-admittedly said he really wasn't challenged. Never had to run the car very hard during the whole event, from beginning to end there. But I'll be honest, there's been some very impressive early season runs. Kyle Moody did fall back a little bit in that. Matt Campbell has been a huge pleasant surprise. Paulie Cole Giovanni. I mean, this guy. It reminds me, and he's been around. He's a young guy, but he's been around. But it reminds me of like Devin Borden when he came to town and was ripping. Paulie was ripping, man. He was sending that thing on a racetrack that had a lot of grip. He had that wing back. It was tight, but he was just he was just sending it. It was so much fun to watch. Danny obviously gets around there and makes it look easy. Paulie didn't make it look easy, but he made it look fun, and he was ripping, man. It was fun to watch for sure. What you got, Jimmy?
I don't know if I think I got it to him. It wasn't letting me message him at first, but I think I got it to him. So if you want to come on.
He already waved the white flag. He doesn't want the smoke.
Yeah, talking that big game, little fella. Come,
little keyboard warrior.
Let's hear about it.
Little keyboard warrior.
We'll see. All right.
Anyway, but Paulie was good there. Dylan Norris was running with Danny for a while. Dylan Norris has had a good, strong start to the season. Matt Campbell ended up finishing third there. Dylan Norris did finish fourth. And then Norris actually went and won the 358 race. So, man, I got to be honest with you. I like Dylan Norris, and I'm happy that he won that race. But, man, was I rooting for Fletcher, and I was rooting for Tyler Ulrich, and I was rooting for Jaden Wolf. He was second. Like, all of those guys, man. Like, again, I'm not going to root against Dylan. I'm not going to do that. But, man, was I kind of hyped watching that 358 race and who the possibilities of who could win that race. Tyler Ulrich did everything right, the whole feature. He did everything right, everything he was supposed to do. Jaden Wolf was probably faster than him early, was trying to find a way around, made a mistake in 3 and 4, that tricky 3 and 4. Got up there, got into stuff, spun it around. He made a charge back through the field, actually. It was fun watching him just rip around the race cars on the top. And then here comes Cody Fletcher. And I thought Cody Fletcher had Tyler passed, and the yellow came out. Had him passed and cleared it. And I talked to Tyler after the race, and he was like, I was done. He was gonna be gone. He was gonna be going past me. I was gonna lose that race to Fletcher. Fletcher fell back. Then at the end, Fletcher was coming back for it. It was really a lot of like comers and goers in that 358 race. And at the end of it, Dylan Norris gets it done, passes Tyler Ulrich on the outside. Tyler said he didn't want to move up and change his lane. He was doing so good. but there was not much he could do. So really good P2 for him to start the season. I believe was Owings third or
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Fletcher. I think Owings was third, Fletcher fourth, maybe. So good start there. Tore up a few cars, obviously. Not too terrible, to be honest. Rookie debuts. We got him.
No, we don't. Sorry.
Some rookie debuts in the 358 division as well. Aiden Hare brought his 358 out. Did a little bit of testing last year in that. He got out in his car. Fletcher was third, Owings fourth. There we go. Okay, thank you, and I appreciate that. Oh yeah, because our boy,
at least Aunt Bay knows what's going on.
Our boy was fifth. Aunt Bay's little minion was fifth there. So
I forgot to put
on the fence, Kyle Spence.
He
gets this on the fence Kyle Spence nickname, but I don't see him ever run the fence. When's that happen? Like, when is that going to happen? Do we ever get to see that, or is that like not a thing? You have to tell me, Ant. Like, when is he afraid to get up there in a big car, or is that just a little car thing at these little tracks? What's the deal? We figured out there, Kyle.
Oh, we got him. We got him, boys.
Somebody just joined the chat. Favorite Dietrich. Seth, what's going on?
Dietrich.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, that's good. So here's my takeaways from the Grove. Chris Trank was on fire.
Yes.
I hope Rick's watching this because I'm going to bust on him because Chris is anyway. He drove right past the 75. That's about all I got.
Right past. He did have a hell of a run off two past 75. I think it was off two, wasn't it?
Yep.
He was getting all his work done off two. I was standing at the backstretch at the bridge, and he was just ripping off two, man, getting a hell of a run down there.
Almost drove past Freddie. He was getting there.
He was trying.
He was.
You gotta appreciate a guy with that effort.
So, what did you contribute to the weekend, Seth?
To the weekend, you know, not much. Ate some food.
Dallas said you almost get hit by a car.
Yeah,
is that right?
That?
Yeah, that's a long story. We're not going to get into that too much.
Did you get the chapstick under control this week?
Did I get the what under control?
Chapstick. No cracked lips this week.
Oh yeah. You can take all the photos for me. Need something for. Yeah, need some better photos.
Some glamour shots. All right.
Glamour shots. Help me get the women.
Yeah. How's that going for you these days?
It's not. Next question.
Join the club, buddy. Join the
club. Oh my god, dude. Okay, so let me actually ask you because.
Oh god.
Well, I want to talk about Billy's heat. I want to talk about Billy's heat race. And
yep.
So, how is it that the 8 car spins in front of Billy and almost flips over, doesn't flip over? How did Lincoln cheat that car up so bad that he got hit that hard and didn't break?
Well, we actually hit him.
I know you hit him, but
that's what made him almost flip over.
How did Lincoln cheat that 8 car up so bad and make it so durable, cheat for him that bad that he could still finish that heat?
I mean, I wish we had that because we had to change the rear. So,
yeah,
we're the unlucky 8, I guess. I'm not sure.
Just sabotaged the Dietrichs and helped out the Reamers yet again, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Man,
can't get away from the poor guy. Grove, Lincoln, doesn't matter.
With all this experience and you being around all these broken parts, how did you not get the rear done in time?
Well, the rear was done. It was the rear caliper was the problem. We had to change rear calipers, and then that's what ran us out of time.
That ran you out of time. That sucks. Actually, it does suck because I think that would have been a fun race to watch Billy kind of run. I don't know if that was his style of track necessarily, but I think that he could have, with his experience and if it reminded me kind of like a rough trailway a little bit, the way 3 and 4, like the corners were, you know what I mean? Like it had character and it usually doesn't. I feel like that's somewhere Billy could do well. Am I crazy there? Or what do you think?
No, I mean, that's a pretty good track for him. If the car's there, we had no extra time between the heat race and the B main. We were thrashing the entire time. Danny, Jake, a couple of his guys came over, helped us, but we just didn't get any time to tune on anything. So he was kind of left out astray for the B main, but you'll have that, I guess.
Yeah. Now they're done drawing, so they're going to go to handicapping this week.
That's great for us.
I was going to say, where do you think that places him for that?
First row, maybe second row.
So if now they're going to handicap heats and feature, right?
I don't know about the feature. I'd assume so.
Yeah, I think it's both. So they're going to handicap. He could potentially handicap to the front of a heat, get into the redraw, and then, well, it's not a redraw per se. They re-handicap the people that do get out of there, the top 3, I think, out of each heat, or 4, depending on how many cars are there. And then he could end up in starting the front row of the feature as well.
It's true.
So
Hopefully.
this is pretty much Seth's master plan. I mean, the favorite Dietrich's master plan was to find a way to make that car have everything go wrong.
I don't think that was the whole problem, was everything going wrong. I think it's everything else went wrong around it.
We're still
Phil draw.
gonna hashtag blame Seth anyway.
But
Yeah, I would too.
how is Lincoln going to scheme it up that you guys don't get to start up front?
They're gonna try to jump the start.
Mix up the
it'll be a jump start. That's what it'll be. He'll jump the start of the heat.
Yep.
And it is. That's what it is. They'll scheme because they can't change the points.
Well, they'll
they
probably
can
find a rule where there'd be too many crew guys out of the pit lane, and Seth would be probably the problem there too. So
yeah, Seth Hayde was outside the pit box. Not his body.
eating his chicken. He was holding his chicken tendies, as Ant would say, and penalty. Adios, amigo.
No chicken tendies in the pit box.
So you guys will have it fixed up for this weekend?
Oh yeah, yep, should.
Good.
I'd imagine so. That's what tomorrow night's for.
Yep.
Definitely can't do it tonight because I'm watching this.
Need you to be back there to be the support division for the Legends this weekend.
Hey, I got a buddy that races Legends. He does pretty good. I gotta watch him, but that's about the only person I know.
You have friends?
Just one.
Who is it?
Steven Wertzer.
Okay, I've seen that name.
That guy just unfriended Seth.
Yeah, he did.
Steven Wertzer will have to come on the pod, and we'll just have to ask him how good of a friend he actually is.
And he says your head's already big enough; it's already out of the pit box.
Well, at least it's my head, not my body, Ant. Calm down.
Oh, don't do my guy Ant like that.
Hey, we're buddies. Hey, man. At least I can say it this time. I don't gotta type it. My thumbs don't work that fast.
Exactly. Isn't it funny he calls himself Ant though? Because it's like Jumbo Shrimp. Like he's a big guy. His name's Ant. I don't know.
I feel like Seth's locked in the shop somewhere. That's why he can't put us on camera, because he's chained up from last week's show. The things we didn't get to see him say.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Wertzer, Brent Shue just said Wertzer's a road racer now. Is he not going to be at Lincoln on dirt?
No, he'll be there. He should be. I was just talking to him the other day. He should be. He ran that place in West Virginia. I don't remember much about it.
I like people calling tall people tiny. Or it's like people calling tall people tiny is what Impe says. Sorry.
Seth.
So it's kind of like Kyle Spence on the fence. He just doesn't run there. Same thing. Cool. Carry on, JZ.
Catfish Spence. What do you do all day, Seth?
I do heating and cooling. I actually have a real job. Crazy to think about.
Whoa.
Oh shit, heating and cooling. So you're out in like a van, like a white van all day?
It says free candy on the side. You know it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. You have that kind of like vibe,
That's good. That's good. I like to keep it that way.
Kind of quiet. Hey, what's it like being around Nasty Nate all the time? Is it?
You don't want that answer. I might get off here before I have to give you an answer on that one. Here, next time you go to Clinton County, just ride in the rig with him. I'll drive separate, and you can get the full experience.
There's no shot that's happening. Actually, you know what? That's how I might get to Clinton County, because I don't want to drive my ass all up there. I might have to ride with somebody up there. That might have to be the ticket.
All right, so JZ rides with Nasty Nate. We strap a GoPro on both of them. See what happens. I'm in.
You might want to blow the video.
Me and Nate in the same truck for 2 hours. Oh, I'm in, buddy.
We'll see you there, buddy.
And I did see him run past cars on the top of 3 and 4. That doesn't mean he runs the top. That just means no one else was there. Okay, that's all that means. I saw it. Honestly, a lot of those guys, I think, were not very excited to run the top of 3 and 4 because it was sketchy as hell. For the 358s, I don't blame them at all if they didn't want to run. It wasn't even the top. It was like the 75% top. It wasn't even the top. It wasn't even. I don't know how to explain it. It was the weirdest 3 and 4 I've ever seen at Lincoln. It was strange. And the line, like watching Danny run, they would enter like in the middle and sort of like they wouldn't cut down, but it was like a cut down. They would just get the car straight and turn down the hill to exit instead of like sliding up or doing like a slider line. It was a strange line watching them navigate it, and it had a lot of grip, so they were able to like turn down the track. It was really strange. I don't remember, Seth. You've been going to Lincoln a long time, like I have. You ever seen a 3 and 4 like that before?
I mean, it usually gets like that. Some of them late summer nights, they keep it wet a little bit. Sometimes it gets like that, but it's not very often it stays that far down.
Yeah, I had concerns it was going to do that. I think it actually ended up a little bit wider than I thought in 3 and 4. They could like you could go in there and run sort of a second line, but man, during those heats, I was in 1 and 2, and they were running top, bottom. They were all over the place. There was a cushion. 3 and 4, I went down to 3 and 4. And I'm like, well, what have they been doing out here? And you could see they didn't even touch the dirt even halfway up the track yet. It was amazing how different it was side to side. So, and I think 1 and 2, there was moisture, but they were able to move it up the track because it was in the sun for so long. So at Lincoln Speedway, even this time of the year, you get in the evening, 3 and 4 stays in shade or gets into shade a lot faster with the way the wall is designed. 1 and 2 stays in the sun for a longer, and it was windy down there too. So it didn't slick off, but it just created a wider racing line in 1 and 2. Very different ends of the track for sure. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good to see. Paulie had a good run. Almost drove right past the 48, which would have been something, but he didn't.
That was at the end. That was something.
But like 2 to go, if he would have turned down a little bit harder, he probably would have drove right past him. But who knows?
There would have been a sea of people in red 8 shirts cheering for Paulie Colagiovanni. Could you imagine a world where Raymer
world we
fans
live
are
in.
cheering for someone named Colagiovanni? It's wild out here, bro. I like that kid. I think he has a lot of potential. I'd like to see him race more around here, honestly. Every time I see him lately, the last year and a half, he's
I don't trust that Baker anyway.
Who said that?
Rick Becker.
Rick Becker says,
Bacon
Clusters, I'm playing favorites.
Rick, thanks for being here. He is a favorite of ours. You can't not like the guy. He's our lovable teddy bear crew chief.
Well, he's never come say hi to me yet, so he's still on my list.
Oh.
Then again, speaking of which, so Seth, are you guys going to BAPS on Sunday?
We're racing every day this weekend.
Oh. Even if it's like 32 degrees on Friday night?
Yeah, buddy.
Only if they
definitely
race.
Canceling. They're definitely not racing. We know that.
I don't know why you guys don't get Mbaye on this show. He comments more than I do.
He was here on the show with his boy Kyle Spence, buddy.
I
So maybe we should go back and
count.
look at the history. They both
He's
were
got
here.
to be here alone.
Oh, buddy, we had to get you first because you comment so much.
It's a panel. It's going to be Ant, Seth, and Dakota.
We can take the day off.
Trio.
Let's take the week off.
Yeah, it's those 3. They're going to run the Turn 2 Terribles.
And we'll go to the beach. It'd be great.
Perfect. Hand it over.
So check this out. Tyler just said late models at the Grove Friday. That ULMS show, I saw it 2 years ago when they ran. Last year it got rained out. That was one of my first races shooting like ever or something. I think it was my first year. That was that's a cool show. And actually I hope they get a lot of cars. That's their only super late model show of the year at Williams Grove. Low key hope they race like to go watch supers at Williams Grove. That was cool. Because that year ULMS was the beginning of the year, and was it the World of Outlaws or the Lucas Oil was at Williams Grove later in the year, and got to see that show, and that was pretty cool. So I'm pretty sure it was. Tyler will tell us, but
yeah,
supers at Williams Grove were pretty neat.
I'm pretty sure it's right, but this event, I'm pretty sure for the last all of my years, late models are there for March, April, and they get canceled every year.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of hedging my bets on. I'll be at BAPS 2 days this week.
And I think even that night that the ULMS was there, it was like foggy and cool, and there was like vapor trails, and it rained or something. I feel like there wasn't that many people there. I forget, but even that night was kind of wild.
There it is.
Actually,
Emmett's going to win his
race before. I know you
actually have.
Before.
Go ahead.
How many races have you ran in a full size car?
Oh, in a full size car?
Yeah.
I mean, I got a lot of wins on 2 wheels and 3 wheels, but nothing on 4 wheels. So.
Oh, I thought you raced a sprint car before.
Heck no. Are you nuts? Did you finish that bottle?
What?
He's getting there, baby. He's getting there.
Did you finish that bottle?
It's getting there.
No, I got a lot of bicycle and big wheel wins.
Oh, big
He
wheel
does have.
win.
Does he have 1 or 2 career big wheel wins at Lincoln?
I think 2, and then one
impressive.
bicycle win and one at the Grove. I mean, come on, man. I'm
I'm
diverse.
impressed. You are extremely talented. You have more wins at Williams Grove than I'll ever have, and Lincoln for that matter. So
I'm not a one-track wonder.
Hey.
you've confirmed that. You've confirmed that, buddy. You've confirmed that. So why don't you want to race a big car?
Well, when I open my wallet and I see all the moths fly out, it kind of makes sense.
Why don't you try racing with Sportsman? Just shameless plug for my other podcast. Run a Sportsman. It's a lot less moss that need spent.
I mean, is that a big car?
I mean, it's
a
bigger
big
than a
car.
micro.
I mean, yeah, it's true.
It's
bigger
a
than
sprint
micro.
car chassis, right?
If you saw my iRacing career, you'd understand.
Buddy, you can't be worse than my racing career.
I made it
Yeah,
half
Chris
a
is
lap at
pretty
the Grove, so.
Okay, yeah, you're worse. You and Aunt Bay should hang out. So
we do. That's the problem.
Maybe the problem is iRacing. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you and I spent too much time with iRacing. We should have been saving up for real car stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're talented.
Because the iRacing money will translate.
No, iRacing money is free. Ish.
Yeah. Rick Becker is right. Boxed frame on a Sportsman, but very similar. As the
all I said was bigger than
rails.
micro, which I'm pretty sure is accurate. So
I mean, I'm not man enough to drive a super Sportsman. You got to have no power steering. I mean, you can have.
They got power steering now,
power
man. They
steering
got
now.
power steering now.
That's no fun. You got to be
How
a
about
man
you just-
about it.
How about you just tell Dad to take the day off and you just drive the 410 for a day?
Probably wouldn't fit in a seat. He's a little bigger than I am. A little bit more of a man.
I mean, I'll agree with the second part. But you should do it anyway. You can rent the track out. You can do it, buddy. I'm proud of you.
At least I got one supporter. I'll get T-shirts made now.
Yeah, you get T-shirts made that'll fund your career.
Honest to God, I would buy a T-shirt if you make up a mock.
I have a genius T-shirt plan. You never got beat by Chris Frank.
Whoa, you're right.
And create a
There
design.
you go, buddy. Do with that what you want, buddy.
Make a shirt. I'm buying the shirt because I want people to ask me who that is.
Say
That's all I want. I just want
you
people to
design
be
the shirt.
G-Race.
Only the greatest big wheel driver in Lincoln history.
Right?
He is a 2-time Lincoln big wheel driver winner.
Hey, I beat Cole Young. That's something.
That's definitely something. And
he didn't wreck you?
Oh, he went there.
Ooh. Too soon.
Seth's resume. Big wheel races at Lincoln, bike race at Williams Grove, and hasn't been beat by Chris Frank. My guy.
What he needs to do.
That on a T-shirt.
What he hasn't done is foot race. Me and Chris at Williams Grove.
Because you haven't beat me there either, buddy. And he doesn't
you
want
crashed
the smoke.
yourself. You crashed yourself, bud. You tried.
Seth is
to give
absolutely
you the nose. You went down on your face.
Okay, listen here, MFers. Neither one of you are beating me in a foot race these days. I've been training.
Yeah, you have.
Not for that foot race. I've just been training for a race.
Cue the Rocky music.
Seth, you want to go? Where can we race at? Williams Grove.
Williams Grove, man, down the front stretch.
Yeah. When do we want to do it? Summer Nationals.
Ricky Bobby, this
Oregon
thing.
Cup?
I don't know.
Friday.
We go from.
We could do Friday.
We ran from.
Friday.
We would race from turn 4 to the start finish line, and man.
No, we're gonna race from the chalk line.
Than you would think.
We're gonna race from wherever the chalk line is to the checkered flag, and Tony Sharp's gonna be waving both of them. So he better figure it out.
He's not gonna see the start line. Oh.
Can I jump the start or not?
No.
You can. I'm still gonna pass you.
Do I actually have to run, or is it just like a walking race?
Oh no, it's run,
buddy.
I gotta find the old picture.
We ran this shit in Crocs and flip flops last time.
Yeah, ran that flip flops.
Seth, I will strap up. We will race from whatever start line to whatever finish line you want to race at any race you want to go down at.
It was almost a tradition after a World of Outlaw race.
I'm pretty sure Brent Mark's whole crew laughed at us flipping and hurting myself down the front stretch, but it's fine.
You're thinking of it so wrong. It needs to be on big wheels.
Thank you.
No, he has more experience. That's not fair.
That was like 12 years ago.
All right.
Buddy, I have 20 years on you, buddy.
World of Outlaw race. Or we'll pick a race.
It's gotta be running. Or
we all buy our own 3 wheels.
Or all the races.
we
we do a triple crown, a foot race, a 2-wheel race, and a 3-wheel race.
You're just getting out of it's just getting out of hand.
This
All
is
right,
getting out of hand.
so this is too
But
much. It's too
I'm going
much.
to keep that going because I think we should do that.
Seth and I
T2T
are-
trike
Seth,
race
We'll be in touch.
at Williams Grove.
And
Front
bike race and
All right.
foot race at separate times.
Okay,
All right,
you
calm
could do your
down,
triathlon
triathlon guy
tomorrow.
over
All
here.
right. Chris, Seth, thanks for coming in. I want to
Yes.
get out of here tonight sometime. Chris, let's hear about BAPS, man. Tell us about your BAPS experience on Saturday with the sportsmen and whatever other divisions that were there. Tell me how that went.
Oh, so I was there, obviously, for the sportsmen's, super sportsmen's. Kenny Edkin doing Kenny Edkin things, driving from 10th to the lead. He took the lead at lap 13. You know, he told us a few weeks ago on the Rolling podcast that he's good out of the box. He won a championship last year, and he kind of set the message. He's going to do it again. Is this in his head? And I don't know that right now. One race is enough to say otherwise, but strong message sent from race 1. But overall, race was good. Mike Andrews, tough break, broken hot laps. He'll be back, I think, again this week. Otherwise, I mean, the track, he had 14 of those guys there, and early season, it's one of those arguments for starting too early. It's at the budget division. Like,
we raced too much.
I mean, they get the whole month of June off, which is kind of weird. At least as far as weekly shows. So it's kind of weird that they have that, but I don't know. I mean, I could make the case in this scenario where they could Billy threw me off, man. Billy comes in from the top rope. Wild Bill. But no, I can make the argument maybe a little early. There's a bunch of teams still getting their stuff together, and you want to be smart, right? So I know I hung out most of the nights with the Ruts guys. Ryan broke a stud, and he was fast, and he looked good. Car was stable. Rowan Beasley hanging around, and shout out to Rowan Beasley. He gave the $100 bonus for the wing guys on Saturday that ran the double Sunday Williams Grove, $100. Jay Fantasy takes that for a pair of 7s, but definitely cool. Like, I don't know. I didn't get to watch much of the late models. Didn't get to watch the legends. I was kind of just getting acclimated to being in the sportsman's pits, and then I saw the Russes and I hung out with them, and they had food. Luke Lanker was there. He didn't have food, so didn't talk to him.
Oh,
he had a Mountain Dew. I mean, we looked at each other.
That's how you get Chris Tatati, is have food.
I mean, Rowan Beasley was walking around putting stickers on cars. I don't know if all those guys found the stickers that he was putting on their cars yet, so I'm intrigued by that. But it was pretty funny. Good guys. Like, looking forward to, as the year goes on, more cars and everything like that. Like,
let's just a little more sportsman talk. You sent me this picture. Eric Rutz
right.
had this picture from his GoPro from Williams Grove yesterday. This is what you could see.
Eric Rutz shared this today on Facebook.
Straight up.
He started 9th in the feature, and yeah, he could see a lot of things, I'm sure.
I see a green light.
Yep, that's about it. So, I mean, shout out to Eric. He was on the show last week. He had a decent run going, lost breaks Saturday. Again, Sunday was, from what I read with him, I know he was moving forward. He drove the 6th, late restart, spun himself out. But yeah, that's rough. It's a visual representation of what those guys were dealing with, and you figure that's mid-pack in the wingless sportsman race. That the 410 race was full field. That'd be even worse. But shout out Eric Rutz, love that guy.
Also, shout out Brett Perigo yesterday, leading most of that race. Got lost brakes as he ran into a lap car. Things shut off. He still maintained it and saved it. I don't know how.
Year, dude. I don't know how. Right. I don't know how he saved it. Don't know how he didn't wreck into the pits. Don't know how Steve Wilbur didn't run over him.
Yeah. They had a hell of a battle. That was fun to watch.
Like, Wilbur passed him once, and I saw on Wilbur's page that somehow in his old age, Steve Wilbur learned how to pull a slider. And Brett Perigo learned how to use a crossover. So that was cool back and forth. And I kind of wish we would have got to see them race it out. Would have been fun. Congrats to Steve Wilbur, though, promoted that division, and he put a good race together. And dang it, second time we're there watching Brett.
I know.
And Steve Wilbur. That's
somebody was with their group and said, "Watch, first and second are going to wash up the track and turn one on the initial start, and Brett's going to drive right underneath them in 3." And I'm like, no way. Calm
The
down.
wildest part
And
was
that's exactly what happened.
well, the wildest part of that, like yes, that happened, but they're so off throttle down there. It was quiet, and I hear all you on the fence go, "Holy
Yeah,
f!"
I was ready to
Because
jump
you
over
see
the
Brett
fence.
just drive down the track past them all. Tyler Koenig, good point. Brian Nace, bad
Yeah,
flip.
that was a bad
Caught the
wreck.
end of
That
that.
happened right in front of us.
Right down past us, and left front got tore off the car. He's okay. The car yet to be determined. Hopefully gets it turned around quick and maybe gets a Bath Valley this week. But overall, he's a little sore, but okay.
Yes, David Smeal, Steel City Seaman. He was the one that said it. I couldn't remember who.
What?
Go ahead, Jay-Z. Sorry.
No, I was nothing. Go ahead.
Well, if you want more sportsman talk, make sure you tune in to the Roland podcast on Thursday. Who do you guys got on this week?
7 p.m. Thursday, Ryan Rutz. So this is going to be a fun one. I don't know Ryan as well as Eric. He is military, Air Force pilot. So this will be interesting. He missed most of last year serving overseas. So it'll be fun. He's get to talk to him a little bit. It's going to be a good one. I can't wait to get to know him more and kind of share what his plans are and kind of where he came from. It's going to be, I am excited. Like he's ready to go for Saturday, even though his engine tried to let him down on this past Saturday.
Yeah, definitely check out the Roland podcast with Tony Sharp and Chris here. I got to be on last week and kind of help out since Tony was going to be a little late. So, and I learned a lot about Eric Rutz, and that was a lot of fun. So definitely check it out Thursdays on Super Sports and Media. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, does Jeremy feel like we cheated on him because we both won a podcast and he wasn't there?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I got enough on. This one podcast is enough. I'm good.
Well, if you ever want to cheat on us, you can go do the Thursday podcast sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on Billy's podcast. I'll go cheat on you guys with Billy.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
All right. So let's we got one more thing to recap, and that's the World of Outlaws from this past weekend down at Cotton Bowl, Friday, Saturday. Brent Marks represent, man. Friday night, killed it, winning it, and then also at the second place on Saturday night. But the Friday night show, Aaron Reitzel came up 17 spots, Jacob Allen 11 spots, but Brent brings it down, bringing home the 12K. What did you guys see from that race on Friday night?
It was entertaining. That's what I saw, was entertainment. Like Brent was better. Brent threw everything at the kitchen sink, everything but the kitchen sink at Carson, multiple laps. Finally was able to get the right run at the right time to, if he could just clear Carson and get down the backstretch and into 3 with the lead, he was going to win. He just couldn't complete those first couple sliders. Finally got it done and took the win, man. It was kind of feel good. This guy's been sitting around for weeks, whether you're an outlaw or you're a high limit guy. You've been sitting around for weeks waiting on something to race. Go out there, get it done, get a win. And then, obviously the second night was just as competitive there. Didn't get it done, but close. But listen, I'm a fan, right? So it's always good when my favorite driver gets a win. I don't care who it's against, where it's at, or whatever. So definitely cool to see him going out there and continuing to whoop some ass even after some time off. So
it's not something about him in Texas, man. He just seems to go down to Texas and win with the World of Outlaws. He's just, it doesn't matter what track. It seems like he just goes down and kills it.
Right. And to that point, was that last year or the year before 21? It was the Devil's Bowl where he went and won the 20,000 to win.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of springboarded that whole year that led to the King's Royal and everything else. Like it was like he won there. It's like, oh, we're all going nuts. Like that's crazy. And then the rest of the year is like, okay, he moved up a level nationally.
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
It was a dream season for sure. And it's crazy. Last season he had a good season. It just felt like a letdown compared to the year before. But you could race 100 seasons and not have that season again. Like
right.
It's the best of the best haven't put together seasons like that often, right? It's happened, but not very often. That was the rare of the rare type season. So even last season was a success, but it felt like it wasn't as dominant because it just wasn't 2021 or 2022 or whatever year it was. So pretty cool for sure though.
Right. Like all he missed that year was honestly the Knoxville Nationals. He won basically everything else. So it's like kind of crazy.
Steph
And
with the question. So since Brent is high limit, does that mean he has to race wherever they go, or does he get a choice? He's obviously going to follow the high limit tour because of the all the stuff that you get with the points
charter
and everything.
stuff,
But
yeah.
the charter, the points fund, all that. But if high limit's not racing, they get to race wherever. That's obviously not the same case with the World of Outlaws necessarily. They only get a certain amount of races, and it has to meet a small list of criteria. But high limit, man, they can go run wherever they want as long as high limit's not racing. So yeah, great job for Brent. Also, I mean, obviously it was a good run for Carson Macedo. He led 20 laps. Sheldon Haudenschild, he fell back. That was Friday night, and then Saturday night wasn't bad either. Gio Celsi though leads all 30 laps. Brent Marks second. Donnie Schatz started on pole, finished third.
Celsi to the points lead though.
Celsi to the points lead. How about that?
That's big.
Jace Park with the hard charger on Saturday night. How about that? Plus 10 with a 12th place finish. Now there was only 22 cars, but still keeping it clean. And I think she was tangled up in one spin, but got back up there. Overall, great weekend for Brent. A first and a second, and then they stay in Texas. They go to Kendale, which they were supposed to race a couple weeks ago on Saturday, but they raced somewhere else. Big O, I think that's in Oklahoma though, on Friday night. So check that out. And Brent will be down there, and I'm sure he'll be someone to just if it's anywhere in Texas, he has a shot to win. Apparently,
I mean he's a problem for them everywhere, which is the greatest part about Brent Marks at this point. Like wherever that car unloads, he's a problem for whoever thought they were going to win that race. So I'm here for it.
Speaking of car counts a little bit, are we surprised with the car counts down in Texas? And also, I mean, we had about 30 cars both days.
Yeah, 30 cars at Lincoln. I think last week we set the over-under at 28 for Williams Grove, and we got 29. Like we're right there. I don't know. Like Texas is it's a little outside of sprint car country, I guess you will.
Well, I figured because with high limit being off a whole month,
but
there's a lot of those guys that aren't racing.
But the whole point of running the high limit schedule was to not be racing every weekend to
Sure.
some degree. And why would you want to go to race at Texas if you don't have to? Like, I mean, Brent has sponsors there. That makes sense,
Yes.
right? Like, so you talk like Justin Peck. He's up here with us in a different car, sure. But as a team owner, I mean, if you wanted to race 90 races a year, a bulk of them wouldn't be on the high limit tour,
right?
Give or take, right?
Well,
the whole reason the high limits perk sales pitch is you don't have to race 90 races a year.
Right. So the only high limit driver to run was Brent Marks. And then when Brent won on Friday night, obviously a lot of high limit supporters, one of them being Rico Abreu, chimed in on Twitter and said, hey, look at high limit, look at us here winning these outlaw races. And then it turned into a little bit of a debate between some people saying, hey, can't we just enjoy racing? Which I agree. But I like the shit talking as well. It's the same thing like it was or it is between the Outlaws and Posse.
And
I like that. But do you think some of that has something to do with why there aren't many high limit guys taking advantage of this, going and run for 10, 15,000, with the Outlaws?
There's two problems here, in my opinion. One, Brent Marks is Posse. I don't care what he thinks or the team thinks. They're Posse. We're claiming them. And three, it's like if you wanted to run the Outlaw schedule, you would run the Outlaw schedule. I know there's perks on high limit side that are better, but like you get a month off to go do whatever you want. Given the perks that the high limit now, counter argument, the perks the high limit has given you to run their full schedule, make sure you're ready for those schedules. If your team is in any way not capable of doing that or shaky at best, don't run the month. Brent Marks has to. It's his sponsors. So, again, Rico is probably just enjoying the time off. He's good. But, and I get the rivalry they're trying to build there. I get it. But he's not. He's Posse to me, and it's never going to change. I don't care what he says or anyone says because that's just how it is.
Listen, the High Limit had off for a month. High Limit had off for a month. If you weren't going to go play and run the Outlaw Series, you went home. You're not staying around. Brent's staying around because he has his wife's family's in Texas. He has sponsors in Texas. But he's going to stay in Texas and race if he's there. All the stuff's there. He stayed there. And he'll stay there until they go in high limits at Oklahoma or wherever. But these other guys that are high limit who weren't planning on running outlaw shows in the South went home. They knew they were off for a month. They knew this months ago they were off for a month. They went and did whatever the hell they wanted to do.
Were you surprised that more didn't invade PA? Because we've seen that a lot.
You will see that decisions. I've heard some whispers. You will see some invaders this weekend, and for this weekend and next weekend.
Hey,
for a second, I don't know. Like you don't.
That's true. Brad makes a good point. I'm sorry.
Jacob Allen was there. And Jacob Allen was really good. He was really good. Well, he drove from 20th to 5th, night one, Friday at least. I didn't see anything from Saturday. I was tied up all day long beyond Babs. So,
no excuse.
Sure. Not even making excuses. I just don't care. I'm just telling you that. So, I don't know. If I'm a high limit guy, if I wanted to worry about 90 races a year and have to worry about them, I'm not picking these ones, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not picking these ones.
Yep.
Like, I'm picking the Tusky 50, or I guess that's a high limit show, but like the National Open or events like that. I'm picking events like that is my point I was making.
You're picking National Open. You're picking.
I know that we've kicked the season off, but they all have this time off after Volusia, basically. So they're not racking up the races right now. There's so much racing left to do. It's only March 18th. Like it feels like nobody's racing, and it feels like they're having to go find races and they're rained out. They didn't miss that much yet. Like there's not much scheduled.
Right.
We're the only idiots in the country running every freaking weekend in the freaking 40-degree wind and dust storm. So it's just
exactly. Exactly. Like
Aunt Bay, did I hear you'll see
there
the
was supposed and Marie
not a car that I heard. I did hear of some other cars, but this would not surprise me in the least.
Yeah, considering the news.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
If you haven't heard the news there with that 8 team, Tyler Swank was let go as crew chief, and Jim Shuttlesworth was hired, which was out of left field for me. We don't really have an explanation. I don't think we'll ever get one. I'm sure people will be talking behind the scenes, but it was I did not have Jim Shuttlesworth taking a car that's based in the Midwest on my bingo card this year.
No, that one I agree with you on that one. But that's what we have. So I guess we'll see. Yep. And maybe listen, if you're not racing and you don't have good prospects for where you want to race this weekend and you're wherever, if you have Central Pennsylvania, you can race and you have the freedom to do it. And you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and when next weekend you get another 2.
Yeah,
is
2.
It 3 next weekend.
No. You're right. It's because I think it's the week after that Sealands Grove runs.
Right. So you can get 5 races in 2 weeks in, a lot of laps. You have testing at BAPS on Wednesday. I'm just saying there's a lot of racing and practice and test and seat time you can get in Central Pennsylvania in the next 2 weeks. Obviously, pending the R word around here. It could be snow for all that, for all we know.
It's snowing on my way into work this morning.
It was snowing while I ran today, yes.
The problem that you're going to have this weekend isn't necessarily rain, it looks like now. It's the temperatures at the nighttime racing. Yeah. So I think it's a big W for Port Royal this weekend and BAPS this weekend because they start at 4 p.m. So I think Lincoln, I don't know why they go to 6 so early. We should still be doing like maybe 4 o'clock this time of the year. If they don't want to do 3 or don't want to do 2, go to 4. I think you should be doing that. These night races this early, you get into some pretty chilly temps.
I wouldn't even be surprised if they move up their times a little bit with how cold it's going to be.
That could be
like, hey, so let's start at 2. You know what I mean?
Right.
I could totally see that happening.
Right. The only one screwed is Williams Grove. Fridays you can't move it up.
You get on Friday night. You know,
it's just a tough deal. Okay. So
if it's cold on Friday night, they're not having anybody show up anyway. They'll just cancel.
No, right. No, I'm
honestly they probably
100% fine with that. Based on 45 is a high on Friday. Yeah, you can't move that shut up. BAPS, the 4 o'clock start was nice.
I know
Danny was saying on Billy's podcast was like, hey, it's nice having that earlier start.
It is nice.
You're getting home when the sun's just going down, you know what I mean? And you get in, you get out, it's not too cold, you know.
My point was back it up to your house point, like the 2 o'clock at
If
this
Baps
point.
can run it in
Like,
November, they can run it in March.
Yes.
I know Baps will race. I'm just saying, like even Saturday I was there. It wasn't even forecasted a high temp, much different than this Saturday, honestly. But it got pretty cold, and I was leaving during the late model feature, mid-late model feature, and the sun was still up. It was just kind
You
of
left
shadows
in the
everywhere.
middle of a late model feature. What kind of fan are you?
Buddy, I can assure you, I'm a super sportsman fan.
He's a sportsman guy.
So I was
Oh.
out in the sportsman pit, and I had to go get my child from a play date. So
If
nice
I go
and
to Lincoln
beach.
this weekend, I'm staying for the Legend feature. I'm not leaving.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
Listen, I'm a
Jay-Z's
fan.
always in it to the very end.
I really hope
Bitter
I'm
end.
be like. I can assure you, if I show up to BAPS both days, I'll be there till all the races are over because I have no child to pick up this week. So
I've only left one race early in the last year, and that was the last race at BAPS last season when that that extreme stock feature went on for 14 hours, and they had an open red and an extreme stock feature. I had to go. I left.
Jimmy, can I send him to the edge? What if I told you I left at lap 14 of the Super Sportsman Winglet Series yesterday?
He did.
That's when I went through the tunnel during the red flag for Nace. I didn't have a choice. I didn't love it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
you.
the appropriate answer. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's it.
You're good. No, listen. Hey, listen. You're a part-time fan. I get it. You know. Just call you David Smeal.
Fuck
Can't
around
wait for
and
Port
find
this weekend
out.
to run to see the Zemco car run, says Dave. Yes, I'm pumped for that. Chase Dietz has got some fire ass merch this year, and it's cool that he has 3 different cars that he can make merch for.
Chase Dietz
there's a lot of
is gonna
good
be
merch.
the biggest moneymaker,
Of course,
in the merch.
Billy's stuff is always on point. I liked Lance's stuff. You know, there's a lot of drivers with some really good merch this year, so definitely go out and get a shirt. But yeah, I'm pumped for Port Royal this week. I think you're going to see, 28 cars there maybe on Saturday, and then probably about the same at Lincoln. I would say. I think you're going to get a couple that come from Lincoln, but then like if you're saying there's going to be some invaders, I could see them going either way. So I think it'll be a great time to be alive as a sprint car fan in Central PA. You're going to not be disappointed regardless of what track you go to. But yeah, I'm excited to get back to Port Royal. I'm hoping I can get there on Saturday. It depends on, some other things. But
if you can't, that means you're coming to BAPS on a Sunday. So
I might. Shit. I say I'm only going to do one this weekend because it's a lot of traveling for me. I might probably end up doing both. I can't.
I'm doing that Sunday, 100%. There's absolutely no choice.
I will be at BAPS on Sunday when the gates open. I will be standing in line for my pit pass. Yes.
I don't know what I'm doing Saturday yet. If Lincoln keeps their late start time and Legends, probably go to Port. Because it's 410 Supers and Limiteds. I like the late models up there.
Mm-hmm.
I like Port day shows. It'll be mostly day. Not that late getting home. That drive won't be too bad at that time of the night. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But I like the proximity for Lincoln, but that late start and Legends.
Or you should come join me at BAPS, buddy. Stop being weird.
You want to go see? I want to see more extreme stocks this year. I'm an extreme stock fan. I love that division. I have some friends in that division for sure. But it's hard to pull me away from watching the 410 to watch.
I'm just trying to find a time for you and your camera to take a picture of Ryan Rutz. And that's Eric. Ryan won't take the wing off. So the chances of you and Ryan crossing paths are 0.
I got pictures of Ryan 2 falls ago. Not last year, the year before.
Yeah. Well, you sent it to me, but I'm saying now. I looked at the schedules where you're going to be at most likely and where he's going to be at. We will never cross paths. So selfishly,
never know. I might just make a U-turn and
I'll be there. I'll give you a handy.
Yeah,
Jensen
I've seen his
Ford
name
coming up
pop
from Tennessee.
I've seen his name pop up a couple times. This should be a name I know? Is this
I
should be
don't know.
should this be important to me?
It's a
That
Tennessee
Tyler,
name.
chime
Tyler's
in.
going to tell us.
No, but the fact that somebody's coming up from Tennessee to come run a Port Royal weekly show is just goes to show.
I think
probably
fine for
important.
ULMS. It's Friday night and Saturday. So I think for the weekend,
Oh,
I think
okay.
he's
Okay,
coming
that
up
makes
for
sense. Yeah, to run the
Williams
weekend.
Grove Friday if they run, and then Port Saturday night. It's a 2-day weekend. So I think I've heard this name, but I don't know that this name should go, oh my God, I got to be there and see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but somebody fill me in on the mystery of Jensen Ford, please.
And Tyler also brings up a good point that we should probably just touch on real quick is the modified show that Port Royal put on this weekend. Friday they had open practice. There was some sprint car drivers there. I think Logan Wagner and Devin Borden were taking some laps. They had like a little bit of like a test and tune, and then 140 some cars between 602 crate, the
142
big
I
block,
saw, yeah.
and a couple extreme stocks, street stocks. Hope Chris is okay.
He's like, hey, I'm gonna talk. See ya.
But yeah, they had a ton of cars there. Great turnout. This was rescheduled from the end of last season, and this was basically turned into their season opener. And they had a ton of cars there, and they had the big one it was in the 602 crate. I don't know if it's the feature or a Consi. I'm pretty sure it's the
I think it
feature.
was, yeah.
But they had like a 15 car pile up on the backstretch.
I heard they started 36 of them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you get to do on a big, huge half mile like Port Royal with modifieds. Is you can start them like a NASCAR feature. You could start that many people.
That sounds terrible. Like 36 of them, 4 of them won't start. One of them breaks down under the pacing. Like, man, come on, my guy.
Yeah, but I can't remember who won. I didn't pay attention too much to the results, but I was watching it because it was especially on Saturday. I was going back and forth between that and Lincoln, which Lincoln
Matt
was
Shepard
on
won the big blocks, and Watt, I believe, won the 602s.
Yeah, that sounds right. But the racing was good. The surface looks so good. I mean, those guys for modifieds to get up that high on the track, go 3-4 wide. Just goes to show what the track prep does. I saw Billy Pouch make a comment on how dedicated and how good Steve Steinley was and how into it he was with the track prep, and we know that. So great surface, great weekend for them.
I heard the track was a little rough Friday, a little rough, a little running up, but we've seen that before in the spring at Port Royal.
It was mostly in 3 and 4. From what I watched, it was mostly in 3 and 4. And we saw that at the Speed Week show last year, so I don't know if it's just the way the sun hits or whatever. But 1 and 2 looked all right, but 3 and 4 was.
I want to know if Steve Steinley had a favorite modified driver who he was giving signals to every time they came around the corner to beat the competition. So I always find that to be a weird thing where the track employee is feeding signals to his favorite driver during the race. Wonder how that works. That's an interesting kind of thing.
Hey, what's going on, Alex Robinson, announcer at Bridgeport? $6,060 to win Saturday at Bridgeport for season opener with the Doug Hoffman Memorial. Bridgeport's also no opening, so and they have a 410 race coming up in a few weeks on a Sunday, and it sounds like they might get a few more. But obviously they got they got their modifieds. That's their main class. They get a good turnout there. So if you're in that area, definitely go check that out. I love that track. After being there, that place is just awesome. I wish we could see more 410 races there, but I understand why. And then going back to Jensen Ford, he's a regional racer in Tennessee area, very good down in that area, known as the Flying Mullet.
Oh, that's my new guy. I'm in.
And Alex even says he'll compete for a top 5, top 10, especially if the track gets slick.
Well, it's Port Royal. You got good odds, I'd say.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know though. It's spring. You never know.
But yeah, so that was the weekend. That was obviously this weekend. Friday night, Williams Grove. Saturday, Port Royal, Lincoln, and then also BAPS. And then Sunday, BAPS 410s with 358s. Great, one of the best shows of the year. When it doesn't rubber down like it did last year. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Still waiting for T2T to confirm another pre-race show. Can't do the first one, but You muted yourself, Chris.
You muted yourself. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
you
That's
when
not
muted
true.
yourself. I did not touch you.
It literally said the host muted me.
I did not.
I'm not the host.
You are the
though.
host.
you're
How
one of
the
the
fuck
hosts.
am I
You're
host?
one of the hosts when you log in.
When you
You
switch
did
your
it to
audio
yourself.
source, you probably muted yourself, you goofball.
You should probably
Listen
go
here,
back on
buddy.
mute. Should probably
Yeah,
go
whatever.
back on mute.
Fucking whatever.
This fucking
Well,
guy.
guys, that's it.
Well,
New
guys,
guy here.
all right, we've gone on for an hour 45. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Thanks to Billy Dietrich for shouting us out. They did a great job on their show. Him and Danny. That was definitely very entertaining. So definitely make sure you keep an eye on them. Brad, thanks.
I agree, Brad.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
I will.
so you met me. You met Jeremy. Give me Jimmy.
Yes.
Jimmy's a star.
I'll be out a lot more here in the coming weeks for sure. We'll probably cross paths for sure. But yeah, get to the track this weekend. Weather's looking better. Tons of racing going on, all at affordable prices. No excuse not to get out there, man. So
Let's form, go watch some race cars. Pick a track and go. I don't give a shit. Enjoy it.
Yeah, you're not going to be disappointed on whatever you pick.
Nope.
Closing thoughts for me. Thursday night, 7 p.m. Rolling podcast. Myself, Tony Sharp, Ryan Rutz. Look forward to it, and then we'll talk about what happens this weekend for him and for the rest of the wingless guys.
And I got to play it one more time because it's going to end up going into whenever I get around to making a new intro video along with some other great things that have happened in the past year. But I got to play it one more time to send us out.
Dave Hare.
Town in the Turn 2 Terrible podcast entry, car number 2A, it's Brett Perigo.
That silky smooth voice. Go listen to that voice at BAPS on Sunday.
And Saturday.
And Saturday, but Sunday for sure.
All the days.
But mostly Sunday.
We'll see you guys next Monday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.